What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show. We discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market. We cover it all here on our YouTube channel, including stimulus check update and the fourth stimulus package update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below right now so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. In this video, we're going to talk about how the president could be giving out prepaid gas cards going forward for stimulus, and as well as the latest potential monthly stimulus checks that has been proposed here by Washington. Yeah, we've covered here recently, and we're going to go over the new details now. And what Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has to say here in the latest update from the Senate. So let's jump right in. Start with Mitch McConnell. Check this out.
President Biden heads to Europe this week to meet with NATO allies. You helped give him about $13 billion in urgent support, along with the rest of Congress. What do you expect the president to deliver this week?
Well, we've given him plenty of money. I think he needs to step up his game. He's generally done the right thing, but never soon enough. I mean, let's take a look at what's happened here. The Ukrainians have killed more Russians in 3 weeks than we lost in Afghanistan and Iraq in 20 years. I think we ought to go into this believing the Ukrainians can actually win. And the way they win is for us to get these defensive weapon systems to them as rapidly as possible. For example, I am perplexed as to why we couldn't get the Polish Russian MiGs into the country. The Ukrainians have plenty of pilots, know how to fly them. In those Eastern Bloc countries, they have Soviet ground-to-air systems that the Ukrainians know how to work. We have the resources we've given to the president to get those weapons in there as rapidly as possible.
Right.
And then we provided loan guarantees to the countries that ship the weapons into Ukraine to purchase new weapons and probably better weapons from us. So what I'd like to see the president do is to reassure our Eastern Bloc allies. It's fine to go to Brussels, fine to go to Berlin. I'd like to see him go to Romania or Poland or to the Baltics. They're right on the front lines and need to know that we're in this fight with them to win.
There aren't a lot of policy differences here, really. You agree with the president that there should not be a no-fly zone. There's a matter of a few dozen MiG fighter jets there, but I don't hear a lot of policy differences from Republicans. In your view, does the $13 billion that you all just authorized ensure the funding of a Ukrainian insurgency if the government were to fall? Like, how long does this money last for?
Well, if they need more, we ought to give them more. Look, this is a way to have a no-fly zone in effect, to have these weapon systems, ground-to-air weapon systems, give them a fighting chance to control the air, to shoot down planes and others that are seeking to control the air without the U.S. having a no-fly zone that has our own pilots in there. So I think the weapon systems are available. Look, I think we need to change our attitude here. The Ukrainians can actually win this thing, and that's the attitude we ought to have, that we're in it to help them win.
So that's interesting what Mitch McConnell says there, coming from a Republican who, typically Republicans are against Democrats, and, a lot of political things. You see Republicans on the opposite side of Democrats, Democrats on the opposite side of Republicans. But we're seeing a lot of, bipartisanship here. They're on the same page here a lot. Mitch McConnell even says if Ukraine needs more money, they should give it to them, surprisingly, because, well, this could turn into a world war. And we need to stop Russia, and this is a way to stop Russia potentially, or as best as possible without putting our people there. And if you notice what he said there, this is interesting because I hadn't thought of this yet. This is the first person I've heard say this. He says that this is a way to kind of set up a no fly zone, shoot down Russian planes without putting US people there or NATO people there. Give them the weapons, the anti aircraft weapons to shoot down Russian planes, but have their people do it. Interesting thought there. I kind of like that thought. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But remember, we really can't just let Putin win and just steamroll this country and then take over the next country, Moldova, and then right? I mean, interesting thought there.
You are very clear in your language there, but others in your party have not been. Congresswoman Liz Cheney has said there's actually a Putin wing of the Republican Party these days. I think she's referring to Congressman Cawthorn, who called Zelensky a thug. Marjorie Taylor Greene said the U.S. should not fund a war the Ukrainians cannot possibly win. Is there any room in the Republican Party for this rhetoric, and why isn't there more discipline?
Well, there's some lonely voices out there that are in a different place. But looking at Senate Republicans, I can tell you that I would have, had I been the majority leader, put this Ukraine supplemental up by itself. I think virtually every one of my members would have voted for it. The vast majority of the Republican Party writ large, both in the Congress and across the country, are totally behind the Ukrainians and urging the president to take these steps quicker, to be bolder. So there may be a few lonely voices off the side. I wouldn't pay much attention to them.
I want to ask you about what is about to get underway this week. You've said President Biden's nominee to the Supreme Court, Judge Brown Jackson, is very intelligent, clearly qualified, and highly likely to be confirmed. You personally have voted against her before. Are you inclined to vote for her this time?
You know, we had a very good conversation in my office, and I asked her, you know, typically these Supreme Court nominees of both parties have never answered any of the questions. What they typically say is that's something that might come before me, and I don't want to prejudge how I might actually vote. But I asked her to defend the court. Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Justice Breyer both publicly opposed court packing. That is, trying to increase the number of court members in order to get an outcome you like. That would have been an easy thing for her to do to defend the integrity of the court. She wouldn't do that. So in the meantime, the committee will ask her all the tough questions. I haven't made a final decision as to how I'm going to vote.
You haven't made a final decision, but you're open to be persuaded? I mean, this is a historic nominee.
I'm going to listen to the evidence. I'm going to listen to the hearings. And by the way, she'll be treated much better than Democrats have typically treated Republican nominees like Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh. It'll be a respectful, deep dive into her record, which I think is entirely appropriate for a lifetime appointment.
Yeah, so President Biden will be visiting Poland and Europe during his trip here starting tomorrow. He'll be going over to Europe and then Poland. Remember, Poland is right next to Ukraine. It is a NATO country, and it's also right next to Belarus, which is basically an extension of Russia. It's a Russian ally, and most people consider it a puppet country for Putin. So Poland is right there on the front lines, not in the war as of now, but Biden will be right next door, right next door. So some people have said that he it's a risk going there. Um, but you know, Russia shouldn't be attacking Poland because if they do, it's a declaration of war on the U.S. and all NATO countries, all 30 of them. So, but nonetheless, Biden is going to Europe and Poland starting his trip tomorrow. Meanwhile, there's some interesting kind of things going on here with stimulus on the state level and the federal level. We'll start here with this one. This one, lots of controversy over this one in the state of Michigan. Lawmakers in Michigan okayed a 6-month gas tax holiday in the state of Michigan. You can see here, Michigan lawmakers have approved a bill that would suspend the state's motor fuel taxes for 6 months. 6 months. The state Senate passed HB 5570, sponsored by Representative Stephen Johnson. However, Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer says she's going to veto the bill. She's going to veto the bill. Yeah, so a lot of controversy here on this one. Here's kind of the details. Yeah, she says that she's addressing gas prices and that she plans to veto a bill that would suspend Michigan's gas tax. Yeah. Now Gretchen Whitmer, who is a Democrat and also up for re-election this November, that the Michigan legislature passed a bill that would temporarily drop the price of gasoline in Michigan by 27 cents a gallon. The state's tax pays for infrastructure projects in Michigan. But remember that all states are getting billions of dollars from the federal infrastructure package, that bipartisan package that has passed, and the states are now getting that money, or soon getting that money. Depending on what each state is when they're getting it. But Governor Gretchen Whitmer said on Monday taking away the tax would hurt drivers. And the legislation wouldn't go into effect until 2023. That's not real savings for people. That doesn't help anyone who's struggling to pay for gas now. A hope that they'll have, no tax a year from now. That doesn't do anything for people. So what I'm proposing is action we can take right now that will help folks by pausing the federal gas tax. But she can't do that in her state. That has to be done by either all Democrats or Democrats and Republicans. So that's a hope right now. That's a hope right now. So, she says, and taking a pause on the state's sales tax on gas. So the state's sales tax on gas. Are they talking about something different here? These are additional things we could do right now that will give people some relief. Whitmer says she's focused on solutions like dropping the 6% sales tax on gas. Okay, I think they're talking about something different as opposed to the 27 cents a gallon tax on gas. How many taxes on gas do they have? Yeah, she also says she supports a federal gas tax holiday, which would temporarily drop the national 18 cents a gallon, which is something Democrats do want to do this year and are trying to pass as one of the packages that they could do on a federal level. Remember, she's a governor. She's not in the House or the Senate, but she does, have federal or governor support for it. But that is one thing they're trying to pass this year to provide federal support here as well. There are several different states that have now passed state suspending gas tax. She wants to pass the sales tax on gas. But there's multiple different states that are doing this. So far, Maryland and Georgia have officially passed temporary gas tax suspensions in their states for 1 month and 2.5 months, I believe. Florida also passed a 1 month gas tax suspension, but they're going to wait all the way until October, a month before their governor goes up for re-election. So a lot of controversy on that one as well. Meanwhile, the Democrats in Congress have multiple different bills now to unveil monthly stimulus checks to provide because to Americans to on the federal level, basically everybody that makes below $75,000 per person, or basically everybody who got the third stimulus check. Um, because of how bad the price of gas is and how bad inflation is right now. So it's looking more and more likely that this could happen because of the flurry of action and the flurry of bills being proposed here. We have this bill. Democrats have actually unveiled an actual bill to issue quarterly checks, which would be a check every 3 months to Americans by taxing oil companies and using that money to then issue quarterly stimulus checks to Americans because of gas companies and how bad they're gouging Americans. And they're literally making billions and billions of dollars more than their normal billions and billions of dollars. So that is a bill that was officially unveiled last week. We also have another bill that was just introduced. I just did a video on it. I think it was the video before this. House Democrats unveiled a plan to send monthly gas checks, which would basically be a stimulus check. They're calling it gas checks, to Americans and provide relief from high prices. So this is a monthly check, a monthly check. I'll actually link you to that video here in just a moment so you can watch that video if you haven't yet. This is an official bill that was just introduced here, like within the last 24 to 48 hours here as well. And then there's also a proposal here for what they call gasoline vouchers, which would probably just be a check as well, worth $300 a month or $3,600 per year, or every 12 months. This also could be per adult as well, which could be as high as $7,200 a year, $7,200 a year for two adults. So if you're a married couple, married filing jointly, or mom and dad, that could be $300 a month for each of you, or $7,200 a year, which is the same amount as the child tax credits were for children under the age of 6. So this is a very, very doable amount. But an extra $3,600 per person per year, or $7,200 for a couple, or mom and dad, or grandma and grandpa. This is a lot of money. This is a lot of money if you kind of really add that all up. This is really, really good. And this proposal here that was just kind of introduced is kind of similar. It's kind of similar in monthly checks. Again, I just did a video kind of going over the details of this bill and the details of this bill just yesterday. I'll link you to that video here in just a second so you can watch the details of that. But honestly, we're seeing a lot of really good proposals here and a lot of really good details here on the state level, where states are actually issuing stimulus checks, proposals, and bills for stimulus checks, and or pausing the state gas tax or the state's grocery taxes or similar things like that, or issuing property tax rebate checks or renters rebate checks, which is basically a check, um, as well. So there's the state levels, and there's also the federal level proposals and bills as well. So actually, a lot of people could be seeing one or two checks this year, potentially from both the federal and or the state level. And I'm going to keep you up to date here with everything, all that, as well as everything you need to know about on a daily basis, including what's going on here with our country and the war, everything you need to know about on a daily basis. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure to click subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next, and you can click here to see my video I just did on those new monthly stimulus checks bill that was just introduced into Congress. If you haven't watched that video yet, click here now to watch that next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.